There's something electric in the air right now, and if you're feeling it too, you're not imagining things. Something is building toward November 30th, and I need you to understand why this date isn't just another day on your calendar. It's a convergence point, a moment where everything you've been unconsciously preparing for has the potential to crystallize into something real. You know that feeling when you're standing at the edge of something massive, but you can't quite see what it is yet? That restless energy that won't let you settle into your normal routines? The sense that your life is quietly rearranging itself behind the scenes? That's not random. That's the frequency of breakthrough, and it's been building momentum specifically toward this moment. Here's what most people don't realize about breakthrough dates. They're not arbitrary. They're not superstition or wishful thinking dressed up as spiritual insight. They're moments when the internal work you've been doing, often without even knowing it, reaches a tipping point where external reality can finally catch up to who you've become. November 30th is one of those moments. But here's the catch. It only works if you recognize it for what it is. It only becomes a breakthrough date if you allow it to be. Because breakthrough isn't something that happens to you. It's something you step into when you're finally ready to stop resisting what's been trying to emerge. Think about the last few months of your life. Haven't things been feeling different? Relationships that used to satisfy you, now leaving you empty? Goals that used to excite you suddenly feeling hollow? Patterns you've relied on for years, starting to feel suffocating? This isn't a crisis. This is clearance. Life has been making space for what wants to come through on November 30th. But you have to understand something crucial about how breakthrough dates actually work. They're not magic. They're not going to solve all your problems or hand you a perfect life on a silver platter. What they do is create a window of accelerated possibility where your internal shifts can translate into external change faster than they normally would. Your belief system is the key that unlocks this window, not belief in some mystical force or cosmic intervention, but belief in your own capacity to become who you've always known you could be, underneath all the conditioning. Belief that the person you're becoming deserves the life they're creating. Belief that you don't have to stay trapped in patterns that were only ever meant to keep you surviving, not thriving. The power of November 30th lives in your willingness to declare it significant. When you set an intention around a specific moment in time, you create what psychologists call a psychological contract with yourself. Your subconscious mind starts organizing your thoughts, decisions, and actions around that deadline. It begins filtering opportunities through the lens of that commitment. But intention without action is just a wish. The breakthrough potential of November 30th requires you to start making different choices now, not dramatic, life-altering decisions that scare you into paralysis, but small, consistent shifts that honor who you're becoming instead of who you've been. It's choosing to pause before you react out of old patterns. It's setting that boundary you've been avoiding because it feels too uncomfortable. It's having the conversation you've been postponing because it might change everything. It's saying no to what's familiar but draining, and yes to what's uncertain but alive. These micro choices create what I call emotional pressure. Think of it like water building up behind a dam. Each time you choose growth over comfort, authenticity over performance, truth over convenience, you're adding to that pressure. November 30th becomes the moment when that dam finally opens and all that accumulated energy can flow into new territory. But here's where most people get stuck. They think breakthrough means adding something to their life. More discipline, more goals, more strategies, more hustle. What breakthrough actually requires is release. The willingness to let go of who you had to be to survive circumstances that no longer exist. You've been carrying identities that served you once, but are now too small for who you're becoming. The people pleaser who kept you safe in childhood, but now exhausts you in adulthood. The perfectionist who helped you achieve but now paralyzes you with impossibly high standards. The skeptic who protected you from disappointment, but now blocks you from possibility. November 30th is your permission slip to shed these outdated versions of yourself, not violently, not with judgment, but with gratitude for how they served you, and clarity about why they can't come with you into what's next. This is why breakthrough dates feel so intense. You're not just changing your circumstances, you're changing your relationship with yourself, with reality, with what's possible. And that kind of fundamental shift creates ripple effects that extend far beyond that single day. The patterns you release on November 30th won't try to come back. When you make a clean break with ways of being that no longer serve you, when you do it consciously and intentionally, something in your nervous system rewires itself. You literally become someone who can't go back to operating the way you used to. But you have to prepare for this moment. You can't just show up on November 30th hoping something magical will happen. The magic is in the preparation. The magic is in the daily choice to align your actions with who you're becoming instead of who you've been. This means getting comfortable with discomfort now. This means starting to question the stories you tell yourself about what's possible. This means looking at the areas of your life where you've been settling and asking yourself if you're ready to stop settling. Because here's the truth about November 30th. It's not going to force you to change. It's going to offer you the perfect conditions to change if you're ready to meet that opportunity with everything you've got. The thing is, you've been unconsciously building toward this moment for longer than you realize. Every time you felt that quiet dissatisfaction with staying the same, every moment you caught yourself before falling back into an old reaction, every boundary you almost set, but didn't, then finally did. All of that was preparation, even when you didn't know what you were preparing for. November 30th becomes your breakthrough date when you stop waiting for external circumstances to give you permission to become who you already are. It's not about the universe aligning planets or some mystical energy shift. It's about you finally aligning with the truth you've been carrying but haven't been brave enough to live from. See, most people approach dates like this with a consumer mindset. They want the breakthrough to be delivered to them, packaged and ready to use. But breakthrough is participatory. It requires you to show up as the person you're becoming, not the person you've been. It demands that you meet the moment with the same energy you want that moment to give back to you. Your inner landscape has been shifting for months, maybe longer. You've been outgrowing conversations that used to fulfill you. You've been losing interest in activities that used to distract you. You've been feeling restless in situations that used to feel comfortable. This isn't depression or dissatisfaction. This is evolution, trying to get your attention. That restlessness is emotional pressure building. It's your authentic self, pushing against the walls of who you thought you had to be. And every time you honor that pressure, instead of numbing it, every time you listen to that inner pull, instead of dismissing it, you're adding momentum to what wants to emerge on November 30th. But pressure without direction just becomes chaos. This is where intention becomes your compass. When you consciously decide that November 30th will mark a turning point, you're not just picking a random date on the calendar. You're creating a focal point for all that internal momentum you've been building. Intention works because your mind needs deadlines to take action seriously. Without a specific moment to aim for, transformation stays theoretical. With a deadline, it becomes urgent. Your subconscious starts working backward from November 30th, identifying what needs to shift, what needs to be released, what needs to be embraced for that date to truly represent a breakthrough. This is where belief becomes the bridge between where you are and where you're going. Not belief in magic or miracles, but belief in your own capacity to honor what's trying to emerge through you. Belief that the discomfort you're feeling isn't a problem to solve, but a signal to follow. Belief that you don't need to have it all figured out to start moving in the direction of your becoming. The patterns you've been carrying aren't just habits. They're entire ways of being that were constructed to help you navigate circumstances that no longer exist. The hypervigilance that kept you safe in chaos, but now keeps you anxious in peace. The need to prove yourself that motivated you when you felt unseen, but now exhausts you when you're already valued. The tendency to overthink that protected you from making wrong decisions, but now paralyzes you from making any decisions. These patterns have expiration dates, and November 30th can be when you consciously let them expire. Not through force or judgment, but through recognition that they served their purpose, and now it's time to operate from a different place. When you release these outdated ways of being, you create space for what's been waiting underneath. Your natural intuition that got buried under everyone else's opinions. Your authentic desires that got dismissed as unrealistic. Your capacity for joy that got minimized because happiness felt too vulnerable to trust. This is why November 30th feels different from other dates you've marked as significant. It's arriving at the exact moment when your internal work has reached a critical mass. When the person you've been becoming is finally ready to step fully into the light, even if it means disappointing people who were only comfortable with your smaller version. The emotional pressure you're feeling isn't going to disappear on November 30th. It's going to transform. Instead of pressure to stay the same, it becomes pressure to keep growing. Instead of pressure to fit into spaces that were never designed for your full expression, it becomes pressure to create new spaces that can hold who you're becoming. But transformation requires witnesses, even if that witness is just you. November 30th needs to be marked, acknowledged, honored. Not with grand gestures or public declarations, but with quiet recognition that something fundamental is shifting. Maybe it's writing a letter to who you used to be. Maybe it's making a decision you've been avoiding. Maybe it's simply sitting in stillness and feeling the difference in your own energy. The breakthrough doesn't happen because the date is special. The date becomes special because you're ready for the breakthrough, and you've been getting ready whether you realized it or not. Through every moment you chose truth over comfort, authenticity over approval, growth over safety. November 30th is your invitation to stop rehearsing for your life and start living it. To stop preparing to become who you're meant to be and start being who you're meant to be. The person you're becoming has been knocking at the door of your consciousness, and they're not going to wait much longer. So here we are, standing at the threshold of something that can't be unseen once you've truly recognized it. November 30th isn't just approaching on your calendar, it's approaching in your consciousness, in your readiness, in that quiet space where you finally stopped arguing with what you know is true. Everything I've shared with you, every piece of this puzzle, it all comes down to this moment of choice. Not the choice to believe in some external force that will magically transform your life, but the choice to believe in the internal force that's been building this entire time. Your own evolution, your own becoming, your own refusal to stay small. If this resonates with you, if something in these words has awakened something you recognize but couldn't name, then November 30th is already working. It's already begun the process of calling you forward into the person you've been becoming in the quiet moments when no one else was watching. The breakthrough isn't coming to you. You're walking toward it, one conscious choice at a time. And when November 30th arrives, it won't feel like magic. It will feel like coming home to yourself. It will feel like the most natural thing in the world. Because by then, you'll have remembered who you've always been underneath everything you thought you had to be. The person you're becoming is ready to meet you there. The question is, are you ready to meet them?